There was a time in my life where I absolutely did not know that there was a state where everything can come to me, where I could feel so full that I I literally couldn't even describe it to people, where I wouldn't have words. I remember I had gone to Sedona to do someone else's workshop. This is 20 years ago. And I'd never been to Sedona before. And I remember what happened was uh, they they were taking a break for several hours and finished early. And some girlfriends and I decided to go up a place called Cathedral Rock, up the backside of it. And it's gorgeous. I mean, it's just all red rocks and really, really old twisty juniper trees and just gorgeous. And this workshop, I could feel that the workshop's possibility was that, we could use our intuition better. This is 20 years ago. And then the other thing that I could feel was that Sedona was a pretty magical place. But, I'm this young chick from Canada. What do I know about Sedona? And the combination of who I was with, who are really great people, and the location of Sedona and the possibility of the workshop, I didn't realize it was affecting me so much. But I did know that this was a time in my life where I was putting a lot of effort to get somewhere. And then I'd have times where everything just flowed, and then it'd be a lot of effort again. And I was thinking, what is the difference between these two states of being? It's like I'm like having different personalities or something. I want to know what the distinction is. And so we go on this hike, and I've got this awareness, these questions in my mind, and we go on this hike, and it's quite a climb. It's kind of fun, kind of adventurous. There's places where you have to crawl and places where you have to slide, and you get to the top, and it's this plateau between these two cathedrals, huge pillars, and we don't know what we're getting into. And it's 6 o'clock at night, or 6:30 or something like that, and the sun is going down, or maybe 7. And there's a rain cloud over here that we felt like we would reach out and touch. And then there was this breath of warm air, like the breath of God blowing on us. And we had no words. We were speechless because we were way up looking over a valley. And then we had this storm cloud with rain falling over here and the sun going down over here and the breath of God in front of us and this spectacular, incredible view. And it was beyond anything I can describe. If we could have stayed up there all night, we would have. But we knew the sun was going down and it was getting dark. And we had planned after that, because we thought it would be, a fun thing to do. Let's have this amazing hike, and then let's go to this restaurant that's kind of expensive, but it had all our favorite foods. One person had all the favorite dessert and sushi and da da da. For me, it had certain things, and then it had these brownies that I loved. And for the other woman, it was all about the Italian food and that kind of stuff. So we all piled in the car, and we still hadn't said anything because we were still kind of in awe. We felt like we had put out our finger. That painting, put out your finger and God touches your finger. It really, truly, it felt in our bodies like that. Nobody else was there. We were the only ones. And so we got close to the restaurant and we pulled into the parking lot, and we each looked at each other and said, "Do you guys even feel hungry?" That's what I had asked. And they said, "No, I don't feel like having that great big meal. I feel like we literally just had soul food that was so beyond anything we could ingest that it would almost pale in comparison." And for all three of us, who all would love to have lost a couple of pounds, not only did we go and flourish and exercise, which wasn't the point. It was about the view. And it was about the beauty of this earth. And it was about being touched and being fed at a different level. We all didn't eat the rest of the night. We just had the most incredible feast for ourselves, for our soul. And from that point on, again, I just knew there was a level of embodying the way I took in life that was possible. And I wanted to be able to experience my whole life like that view, like the miraculous and that level of beauty being available wasn't contingent on circumstances. It wasn't circumstantial, where I wasn't a victim of, oh, this circumstance happened and therefore, I had an argument with my husband, therefore, I'm having a bad day, or, I lost, like my dog ran away, therefore it, or, one of my clients said they're not going to come and work with us anymore. And, all of those things would change my entire day or my entire energy. And I realized that from the perspective of being on the top of Cathedral Rock, none of those things mattered. And then in fact, I could come from this greater view as a consistent way of being, but it was going to take some integration exercises for me. And I became curious in that moment so many years ago. And of course, I've spent the rest of my life figuring out what the operating system is so that the soul is constantly fed, and that I would say conditional love, conditional mood, conditional ability to create, conditional energy disappeared entirely, that it was consistently available to me no matter what was going on around. And I am so excited, even just in sharing this story, I'm having the realization now, literally, the exercises and everything we've done is actually a full circle of that exercise, so of that hike, of that request, of that curiosity. I loved that inspiration from that hike. And so I could not be more in love with the dream that is dreaming me as my purpose, and being able to help people have the same experience without having to hike all the way up Cathedral Rock, but actually being able to have the experience of who they really are so that they can embody. They can cellularly make a permanent shift in the way that they approach life, such that all things desired start to come in abundance without being taken out by the world, the politics, the economics, the people around you. Imagine just living that way. And trust me when I say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I ain't nobody's digital. I'm just little old me from Canada. But man, having the experiences to be able to make that shift so that your left and right brain are in agreement and your biochemistry gets to wake up inspired every day. It's a cool thing. That's flow. That's abundance. So hope we get to see you in the embodiment workshop coming up in September.